Today I'm going to use the spreadsheet template that we used for spreadsheet assignment number 2 to show you how you can make your ideal gradebook look a little bit more unique by adding colors, changing the alignment of some of your wording, um, just moving things around a little bit, adding a heading, merging some cells, changing where you place things. You don't have to do any of these the way that I'm doing it. You can make it look entirely the way that you want it to look, but I want to give you the opportunity to make it as unique as you'd like it to. Bear with me if I talk a little slow or start coughing, because I am just out of 5 days in the hospital from pneumonia, so I'm trying to record this without messing up too much and talking. The first thing that I want to talk about is this heading that we have up here, spreadsheet 2, was done by going up to View and coming down to Header and Footer. And when you select Header and Footer, you have the option of customizing, which is what I had done. And you have a choice of it being to the left or the center or the right, and then I chose the center and typed in what I wanted it to say, and I said OK. And that gives you this one, and you just say again OK, and it puts it up top there. I didn't have to put it there. I could have put it right into the spreadsheet, because when you have a header and footer, it's only going to show when you print out the spreadsheet. It's not going to show up necessarily all the time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and select row 1, and I'm going to go up to Insert, and I'm going to insert a row. And now this gives me a row where I could put my heading instead of it being up here. And in my heading, I should have, for my ideal grade book, I should have my name and whatever class it is or section it is, whatever. So what I'd want to do is select which cells I want to merge. And I'm just going to say I'm going to merge these right here. And I'm going to go to Format, Cells, and down here it says Merge Cells under Text Controls. I'm going to click the box that says Merge Cells. And then I'm going to say OK. And now instead of having multiple cells, I have one large cell. And I can click up here and I can type in, say, Mrs. Sen. Maybe this is math class section 01 or something like that. And then I can also decide, I'm going to click away from it first and go back and click in it, and I can select my alignment. Now I could do multiple rows, and then if I wanted to make my alignment, I could use these up here if I wanted it centered within 2 rows, but I chose just the 1 row. Another thing that I could do is I could add and change where the location is of my key. Alright, so if I wanted to put my key, and the most logical place to put it would be underneath what the worth of the assignments were. So I'm going to click on row 4 here and do the same thing. I'm going to say Insert Row. And what that does is it gives me some space here, and I could go ahead and abbreviate what I have here. So I might want to put HW1 for homework 1. Now if I click away from that, you're going to notice that it kind of bled into the next row, and I can fix that by selecting column C and just widening it a little bit so it fits inside there. Alright, and then for my next assignment it was a test, so I could put test and so on, and that way I don't have to do a key down the bottom down here. I'm taking care of my key right up top. And personally, I like having it up here because it's easier than me having to keep going up and back and forth looking at what the assignment was. But that's totally up to you. Alright. Another thing that you can do is some people like to change the alignment of words, and so I can do that. I'll show you with last by going to Format and Cells. Right now last is horizontal, and I can change it to a 45-degree angle, and it would look like that. And I can do that with all my names if I want to. It is going to widen. If you notice, it's much wider now than it was before. You might even want to go so far as to making them totally vertical, and I'll show you with first what that would look like. And I'm going to come into Cells, and we can make it totally vertical. And if I did that with my names, it would definitely let me then shorten up that space, but it's also going to make the names much longer. So it's the row 24 is not going to end here. It's going to be way down, probably onto the next page down below it. So those are things you have to think about as you're working on it. Another thing that you can do is use color. Color is great to set things apart. One of the things that you need to be careful with color is that it does take out the lines. So you won't see the lines anymore separating within different columns. If I choose column C and I go up to the bucket, I can come in here and choose a color. I'm going to choose a light color, and when I click over here so you can see it, the lines in between are gone, and you might not mind that. Okay, if you do, there is the option of putting the lines back. You can put the lines back by coming into Border Options and saying that you want the outline back, and you want a line, and it's going to put it in black. It's not going to put it in the light color. Even if you change the color here, it doesn't work. It doesn't do it. I don't know if it's a flaw in this part of the program, but when I do that, let's see if it filled it in over my color. It did not. So let's go back in here and do all. Let me select first. Let me do all borders. There we go. So it actually will work better if you do it here and not from the option one at the bottom. Now, if there's an area that you don't want, that you're not using, and you don't want it to be darkened, what you'll have to do is select those individually and decide, well, what part don't I want dark? I'd still want this part here dark, but probably not the bottom three sides of it. And you can come in here and say that, let's see, I do want the bottom. If I click away, that's still there. And let's see, I only want the top border. No, it didn't take it away. I was hoping it would take the other sides away. Let's go back to no border for that cell and see if it does it. There we go. And then I can come into this one and put my border, bottom border, hopefully back on. Oops, let's slide back over here. There we go. So you have to kind of play around with that when you use color, especially when you're putting the lines back in if you choose to do that. All right. And also, you don't have to have your number key here. Some people like to put the grading scale down here where the assignment key was. That's totally up to you. The last thing that I want to go over on this section is the tabbing down here. We have the opportunity to have multiple sheets within one spreadsheet that you're turning in, and this one would be our grade sheet. So I'm going to label it grade sheet. You can double click on where it says sheet 1 and type in what you want it to say. So it now says grade. And then I can click on the plus sign, which now will say sheet 1, and I'm going to make this my attendance. And I'm actually going to go ahead and merge some cells here. And go back to alignment, merge. And then I'm going to type that this is attendance for, and I'm just going to put fall 2015. All right. Now I can click away from it, and then reselect it, and I can center it. And then I also have the option of, right now it's at the bottom of the two cells that I've merged, but I can center it. So when I click away from it, it's actually in the middle of those merged cells. And then I would come down here and change sheet 1 by double clicking on it and typing in attendance. So then I can click back and forth as I'm working between the two sheets, and you're only going to have this one sheet that you'll save as your last name spreadsheet 3.xlsx, which is your ideal grade book, and that's what you'll be turning in. It's just one thing, not one thing for grade and one thing for attendance, just one spreadsheet.